Welcome back to another exclusive bonus video. This one addresses the $1,000,000 question. Will we go lower? This is the question that I've been asked time and time again. We also put up a survey and asked a bunch of different things that you want covered. This was the number one by a mile. Will we go lower? Now, today's video, I'm going to break it down into two huge areas that we can go lower in. They're two big avenues. They're two big roadblocks that we have, and there could be a big curveball thrown in the mix. I want you to be ready for this curveball and ready for this lower move, and I want you to be ready for it all based on facts. Now, we've had multiple weeks in a row of just pure value, completely free, right here in the email list to show you love. I want you to whitelist my email. Otherwise, when I do these videos, you're not going to see them. They're going to get locked into your spam or wherever else. So first things first, go to your email, whitelist my email so you can make sure you're set for these future huge videos that I release to show more love. So let's jump into this, right? I mentioned there's two big avenues I want to discuss. Let's discuss the first one. Now, for everyone's question like, hey, are we going to go lower? The simplest way to understand it is Bitcoin will continue to go lower if the stochastic RSI doesn't have a cross up. Plain and simple. If you look at the chart later today or tomorrow or next week and we still haven't had that cross up, guess what? We have gone lower. And the simplest way to understand it, that's number one. Number two is a little bit more complex. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's continue with number one for a moment. Now, as you remember, every 6 months, like clockwork, Bitcoin has a stochastic RSI cross up. And our previous one was in February. So we're scheduled to have one potentially in July/August area, right? That's where we should be having one. We had this little fake out happen here in May, and we actually formed some pretty deadly market structure, meaning this pivot low was actually our resistance, which actually made us have a fake out. Now, if you look at this little short stochastic RSI cross, that actually had prices go from about 60,000 up past 70,000 with just this little old stochastic RSI cross. So I want you to keep in mind that when we have this stochastic RSI cross, momentum is going to come into the market, bullishness is going to come into the market, and the markets will start pumping. I just want you to be prepared for it because that's one of the main things I want you to really watch is this stochastic RSI cross. Now, it's not that easy where if we just have a stochastic RSI cross, it's back to the bull run and everything's smooth sailing. It's not that easy. We have reason number two, which could be in the cards, and it could be a bit more deadly than you think. Now, as I mentioned, when this stochastic RSI crosses, we're going to have prices pump. If we don't have the stochastic RSI cross, that means we remain below the 20, and we can remain below the 20 for a long period of time. This happened to be roughly 150 days below here. It also happened to be during this period of the bull run, right? Where we had this remarkable rally up, we had this plummet below the green line. Does that sound familiar? Pretty much is what we're doing right now, right? We had a remarkable run up. We go below the green line. Things are not looking good. We stay very low in our stochastic RSI. Prices fall even further during that time. And then we have a pump. We have a pump happen exactly at a stochastic RSI cross, and we pump to our double top, right? So what I want you to know is that we can remain down here with low or no momentum for a long period of time, right? This is still pretty new to us. We haven't gotten above this 20 level, right, for a brief moment, but we've been below it for a period of time, right? So the second reason is a little bit more complex. Let's break it down. And by the way, I do want to touch on this chart and this chart and this chart and this chart. Let's let's discuss this momentarily for this reason number 2. And then I want to quickly cover these other charts just because they're so interesting in my opinion and incredibly noteworthy. And then we'll circle back to this chart. Does that sound good? So here we are, right? Reason number 2 is if Bitcoin were to have a stochastic RSI cross and start pumping, everyone's going to get overly excited, but that doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. There's still a huge hurdle we need to discuss, or Bitcoin will roll over and go even lower than whatever price we're at right now. Now, let me touch on that in a moment, but first let me run through these other charts. This is the 2-month chart. This is where it all started to happen several months ago when I called out this gravestone doji candle, and then it became a battle of the weekly stochastic RSI versus the gravestone doji candle. In last week's bonus video, I had already stated which one I thought was stronger. It wasn't even close. And I stated that before we had this recent plummet in prices, right? This is still true, and there's nothing around that. What's happened is we had this top, this double top, be the absolute triple top. We just had a triple top. That's not good. Triple tops are reversals, right? So what also happened at the same time we had a triple top is we had resistance to the same area of all of the bodies of our all-time high, our past all-time high in 2021. Also very strong, right? And at the same time, so just to put it in perspective, gravestone doji is found at the top of a rally. It has a thin body, which means the open and close were just about the same. It has little to no lower wick, which means that we didn't go much lower in price than where we closed, but we did go a lot higher, and that was sold off, right? We went all the way up here. Everybody's very excited, but it was sold off, and it closed right around where it opened. This is remarkably bearish, right? It's a textbook gravestone doji on a 2-month time frame. It's very noteworthy. Now, the next 2 months, we printed this candle, which is still relatively new, right? This candle is also very bearish. And you may say, well, isn't it green? I thought green was good. No, this has a huge upper wick, which tells you that there was still massive profit taking in all of this area. That is a huge sign of weakness. Why? Because that's that same area that we saw our prior all-time high, which there was also huge profit taking. In other words, we've had a triple top, and we followed that up, confirming a triple top, simply put, right? When you look at the next chart, here are some levels. Now, I wanted to design a chart. Which one would be most realistic? Would we reach a level 1? Would we reach a level 2? Would we reach a level 3? Now, what I'll tell you is that it's likely that this level would be different if we had that second scenario play out, which we're going to come back and touch on. So we're going to leave this to really retest once we get back to that second level. Let's get to this one. Now, this one is really simple. I showed you this in prior weeks, but this is Bitcoin's entire history. We have price action above, we have the stochastic RSI below, and we are on the monthly time frame. And on the monthly time frame, anytime we're in a bull run, we get into this top zone here. And anytime we get back below this top zone here, we have a ridiculously legendary bloodbath of a crash. 2021, once we dip below here, 93% crash. 2013, once we dip below here, 76% crash. 2017, once we dip below here, 83% crash. 2019, 73, 2021, 77. And why do I bring this up? We just dip below here. So if you're asking yourself, big picture, can we go lower? Well, we've got a lot of facts right here in front of us. In fact, we have 14 years of it, right? So can we go lower? The simple answer is hell yeah. Take a look at the facts, right? We'll touch on it in a moment with the second thing that could play out here. But I just wanted to show you further evidence, right? Now, this one is very interesting, right? This is each cycle with the Fibonacci retracement. Each cycle plays out the exact same way, right? What we've seen in prior cycles, and again, do you see this red arrow here? We are literally at the red arrow now. So I highlighted on the prior cycles when we were at the absolute red level, that same exact level in our market cycle, right? Sometimes we hold this level as resistance for multiple months. Here it was 4 or 5 months, 2017, at this red level, or the number one. In other words, the prior all-time high, right? So in 2017, we had quite the battle. 2013, we just held there for 1 month. 2021, we just held there for 1 month. So we're back in this situation where we've been holding for 5 months as resistance at this level, something that we haven't seen in any cycle yet. And we've held some resistance, and below us is our support at this blue line. This blue line is at roughly 48K. Just keep that in mind, right? Now I want to revert back here and go over that scenario number 2. I just wanted to show you some charts that I'm very excited about. You know, I get very excited with these videos, and I always try to over deliver with just tons of value. Yes, this video is completely free, but I'm just going to deliver my absolute best, my best charts, the things that I'm most excited about, and just try to provide way more value than you can imagine, right? So let's get into this. The simple question was, could we go lower? And the simple answer is yes. If we don't have a stochastic RSI cross up, we're going to continue to go lower until we have a stochastic RSI cross up. But then there was that second scenario here. This is where things get interesting. So as I mentioned, if we do have a stochastic RSI cross up, the market's going to pump, and you need to be ready for it. How do you know? Well, if you go on the weekly time frame and you scale down to the 6-day or the 5-day, you can get some foreshadowing of when said cross will happen. But we're not out of the woods yet. If Bitcoin has a stochastic RSI cross, Bitcoin's price will pump. However, what we need to happen is we need to get above this top channel here. And if we don't create a new all-time high when Bitcoin has a real stochastic RSI cross up, we're going to roll over, and it's going to turn into a failed rally. And when we roll over, it's likely that we're going to go a lot lower than the lows we reach right now. Let me make this part very, very clear, because this scenario 2 is definitely in the cards. And it's a trickery. It's 2 kind of trick curveballs in a row to markets. It happens all the time. But when we have a stochastic RSI cross and Bitcoin starts pumping, everyone's going to be like, this is it. We're going to 100K. And they will really believe it. And if Bitcoin does not create a new all-time high, it will be textbook considered a failed rally. And anytime we have a failed rally in the midst of a bull run while breaking key market structure, it's likely to roll over and go even lower than the prior lows. Now, what I'm describing could play out over multiple months, which is why when I first brought up to you the 2-month gravestone doji, I said we're going to have to circle back here in 6 months to really understand the impact of this. Because a lot of people were like, they were wondering like, oh, the next day, are we going to crash after this gravestone doji? It's not like that on the 2 months time frame, right? So that's what it's going to be like here. What I described in scenario 2 could play out the rest of this calendar year and maybe even into the beginning of 25, right? That's what I want you to really pay attention to. Just remain level-headed, even when we have a stochastic RSI cross, and just look for the level of an all-time high. We've got to break that structure. We have to create a new all-time high and continue Bitcoin's bull run. If not, that failed rally, it will gain a lot of momentum, and it won't be pretty because it will be a slippery slope. And again, we're going to need to address the facts when we get there. What I've just described could be multiple months out, but I wanted to give you all of the keys now, so there are no surprises. There are no curveballs, Bitcoin loves to throw curveballs, and these would be two big curveballs in a row that will really emotionally get people off tilt. And I don't want that to happen to you. So this is why I wanted to make this video and really clear the air, right? We're seeing some red flags in the market, but we're still in the bull run. We've got to remain level-headed and look at these key facts, right? It just boils down to really the stochastic RSI and how that's going to play out in these coming weeks to coming months paired with our all-time high. So that's it in a nutshell, right? Can we go lower? You're damn right we can. There are tons of facts to suggest that. The better question is when, which we really nailed in on this video. Leave a comment down below with what you believe is going to happen, as well as what you want to see in the next bonus video, and I'll be doing my best to over-deliver in that one as well, as long as you whitelist my email. Peace and love to the fellow underdogs.